Hello and welcome to the Fierce Urgency of Now in Today's Schools podcast. I am Dr. Cynthia Mama J. Johnson, a voice of hope in education, and I will be your host. Thank you, as always, for joining me for another episode. Today, I have a treat for you. We have royalty in our presence today. We have the one, the only Dr. Tracie Anderson Swilley here with us. She is the National Association of Secondary School Principal of the Year for 2025, and she is the principal of Fairfield Central High School from South Carolina. Dr. Anderson Swilley, let me get it right. We are so honored to have you here with us today.
I am honored to be here, very elated, excited. From proud principal from Fairfield Central, Winsboro, South Carolina. So excited to join you today.
I love it. I love it. Before we jump in, let's remind the people why we gathered. The Fierce Urgency of Now in Today's Schools podcast is dedicated to disrupting, interrupting, and dismantling barriers to changing student outcomes in today's schools. Our students need us now more than ever before. So let's do it. Let's come together and figure out what we've got to do to meet them where they are. Don't leave them there, but to elevate them to a whole new level. We can do it. If we try, we can do it if we work together. Absolutely. Dr. Swilley, come on, tell us about what you do and your journey.
Well, like I said, this is year 12 here as the proud principal of Fairfield Central High School. I have been from a math teacher to an assistant principal, assistant administrator, dean of students, all of the things. But ultimately, my priority is to ensure that students who have been entrusted to my care leave with options for their future. I'm a secondary person by nature, so my heart is in the secondary arena. But, one of the things that spiked my interest in listening to your podcast and hearing your story is that fierce urgency. Like, what are you willing to go hard for each and every day? And so I tell my parents, when the students of Fairfield Central walk into my school, their last name becomes Swilley until they come back home to them. And so like I will show up for my personal babies, I show up for each and every student that is entrusted into my care. And I take that very seriously every single day. And so that is my role, to make certain that the opportunities that I want afforded to my own biological children are afforded to the children that I call my own each and every day here at Fairfield Central.
I love it. So what you've said to us in essence is that the students become your children. And I love that. I love the fact that you take seriously that children have been entrusted into your care. You have to have a higher calling to really understand what that means. When a parent says, I entrust them into your care, that means they're expecting you to welcome our children, their children, with open arms, but to meet them where they are and to encourage them and to push them and to elevate them and to lift them to higher levels. That's what entrusting into care means. And for me, that entrusting means a lot because that's how I got that nickname of Mama J. It shown up. Wasn't anything that I gave myself. It was something that my students gave me. They said, you take such good care of us. You're like our mama. So we're going to call you Mama J. I love Absolutely. That. I love that.
Absolutely. And that's a part when you take it, when, this is work, but when the work becomes purposeful, when you're following your why, when you pour, you're all into something that you do, it then takes on a personal layer. And so, oftentimes we hear the slogan and the cliche that this is not hard work, it's hard work. And so when you're working from your heart, you're working at it from a different capacity. You think about things differently. You're willing to, and that's why I tell people, even if you don't have your own personal children, you have children that are important in your life.
Right.
And so if you have to put your face on those children to go hard for them each and every day, then that's what you need to do. So you need to make certain that you are able to ensure that what you would want for your own, you do for the children that you serve each and every day.
I love it. I love it. And I love the fact that you said go hard, because that's what it takes. And when you see a child, it doesn't make a difference what walk of life, where they come from, whether they have money, whether they don't have money. But the fact that they are a child, we are responsible for that child, even if they don't even walk through the hallways of your school. But if you see them out there in the community, if you see them on your travels, because I know you're traveling all over the United States. In fact, we're recording this right now because you are on your way to your next destination. Regardless of where we see children, we have to take the time to reach them, to teach them, to lead them so we can make sure that we succeed with them. That's what it's all about. So
Oh
let's
yeah.
jump into our very first question. Come on, come on. Okay. So all the work that you've done. I mean, first of all, you got a record because you are in year 12 of being a high school principal alone. Of all the other things that you've done, you in year 12. That's that's a record in today's society. So I want to know from you today, what brings you to the work of educating today's youth, and what keeps you doing the work?
Well, what brings me to the work is I think it's a calling. I think it was a calling on my life to be an educator.
Yeah.
I have for all my life loved working with kids, loved teaching people since
Yes.
the beginning of time, and so I think it's my calling. Number two, what keeps me in the work is the children.
Yeah.
When you see the impact that you have on the lives that you touch each and every day, that's what recenters you around my why.
Right.
My why is to ensure that the students that leave Fairfield Central High School leave Fairfield Central High School and not what they have to do or
Right.
only one or two, but all options of making a choice about what they would like to do in the
Yes.
future, because they have been empowered to do what is necessary to be able to have options. So I don't want kids to leave my school with,
Right.
oh, I don't have a choice but to go do this or do that. I
Right.
want them
Right.
to leave because they have the options to do what they would desire to do to make them have a successful life that they enjoy. And that is my goal each and every day. And so that's what keeps me coming back. That's my why. Each
I
and
love
every
it.
day, I tell people my graduation is my favorite time of the year because you
Yes.
watch that transformation happen over 4 years. And I've been able to see that cycle a couple of times now. And so it is very, important to me that these kids leave me prepared for next steps in life.
I love that. I love that. You talk about your students having those options to be able to go in any direction that they choose to go in, whatever the pathway is, whether it's going to a job, whether it's going to college, whether it's going to a trade school, whether it's going to the military, or whether it's just going home and maybe helping out with the family, whether you're on a farm or maybe you're in a business. Those students have those options. I like to refer to it in these terms. I wanted to make sure that my high school students left high school fully equipped. I wanted them to be fully equipped to do whatever they wanted to do in life. Because you know what? It's hard out here. And
Yes.
I'm telling you, the day after graduation, it becomes real for our children. And it becomes real, and they're saying, I don't know if I can do this. Where are my teachers? Who's going to tell me, do you have your homework done? Do you have things turned in? It is real. And I'm telling you, it's more real. I mean, I've been doing this a lot of years, and between the two of us, we have a lot of years under our belt. But I'm telling you, it is more real now than it's ever been before. I see children, whether they're in the store, whether they're in a driveway or in the neighborhood, and I have to go talk to them because I want to encourage them that you can do more, that you can be better, that you can do better. But I want them to think about the fact that they have to have a plan in life. No plan, you plan to fail. And
Absolutely.
I just don't believe that our children today plan to fail. So I'm happy out of all the things that you're doing and the work that you're doing, that you are still pouring into your students at Fairfield Central High School.
Absolutely. Each
Yeah,
and every day. That is my goal.
I love that. I love that. So I want to go to the second question because it bears the name of our entire podcast. From your lens, from your perspective, and right now you have a global perspective. You're getting to see um, schools all over the United States in your year of touring and going and speaking and speaking life into people, whether you're telling ladies to straighten up your crown, or whether you're telling audiences to keep on keeping on, whatever you're doing. I just want you to know that I'm following you in your journey. So I just want you to know that because
Yeah.
I'm loving what I'm seeing. I'm loving how you are helping us straighten up our backbones when we walk in the room. I mean, that's what it's all about. So having said all of that, from your lens, what is the fierce urgency of now in today's schools?
And I'm thankful for that. The fierce urgency now in today's school is number one, ensuring equitable opportunities.
Yes,
I think
yes.
one thing the pandemic showed us is that it's very clear there's still opportunity gaps that exist for our students. And so,
Right.
I operate under a dream big, no limit, no excuse mindset. And so
Uh-huh.
I teach my students that the only limits you have on yourself are the ones you impose, because we're about breaking barriers, breaking limits, breaking curses, whatever we need
Right.
to break to make certain that you take full advantage of the opportunities, because we're not going to live under a slave mentality. We're not going
Right.
to live by what people saying we are allowed to do or we can't do. We're going
Right.
to do what is necessary to
Yeah.
ensure that we are ready and willing and able to
Woo.
take advantage of all opportunities when they are afforded to us. So my first thing is to make certain that opportunity gap does not exist for my students.
Love that. I
The
love that.
second
I love
thing
that.
is fierce urgency. We have to bring back the village.
Come
We
on
have to
now.
bring the village mentality back, for our schools, for
Oh, the
our
village.
communities. That's the difference now. I
Yes.
tell people all the time, I didn't realize until I was grown that my parents were poor, and that I was a first generation college student. Like, I didn't realize those things, because guess what? The village ensured that I
Right.
had everything I needed. If I
Right.
was in trouble in school, guess what? Before I got to my parents, the teacher had got on me, the bus driver had got on me,
Right.
the
Right.
the
Right.
grandparents have got on me, the next
Right.
door neighbors had got on me. Like, everybody had an expectation.
Right.
And you had that trust and connection with your village to
Right.
ensure that the support systems necessary for your students and your kids and your whatever was there. And
Right.
so there was no gaps left unfilled. So we
Right.
we have to work under that village mentality. And then, once the kids are in our building, it's making certain that they get high quality learning experience. Because, see, I say this all the time. There is a teacher shortage everywhere.
Right.
But if you
Right.
don't believe that my babies in my school can learn, and not just believe that they can learn, but they can learn at high levels, then I don't want you in
Right.
my school, because I don't
Right.
need anybody in my school that feel like, oh, woo woo woo, woe is me. No, we're not preparing these kids to
Right.
compete here in South Carolina. We're preparing them to compete nationally. And so
Right.
in order to do that, we have to make certain they are adequately prepared. And so my mission every day for my staff is very simple. We will provide quality teaching and learning opportunities for students every day. And so
Right.
my custodians know that, my cafeteria workers know that there's
Right.
no hierarchy. It is all of us together working for the
Right.
betterment of this student. And so at the end of the day, the village wraps around our kids here and
Right.
ensure that we are making certain they get high quality experiences. So those are my three. I would say closing the opportunity gap, bringing back that village, and ensure high quality learning experiences are
Woo.
what we, yeah.
I'll tell you what, that is fire right there. First of all, look, I gotta get my tambourine back out. Because I mean, you talked to us, you preached the whole sermon. I want you to know, just in those maybe a minute and a half. But I want to hang my hat just on two things you said. You said, oh, we have a dream big, no excuses. Is that right? Did I say it right? Dream big?
Dream big, no excuses, no limit mindset.
Come on now.
Mhm.
Dream big, no excuses, no limits.
Yep.
Mindset. Come on. So that means nothing is going to get in your way.
Absolutely
Nothing's going to stand in your way.
not. Excuses are reasons for failure, and failure is simply not an option.
Not
And
an
like I
option.
tell my kids, perfection is not the goal, because nobody's
Right.
perfect. And I'm a preacher
Right.
kid now, so we can go all day. All right.
Come on now. I'm the
But
choir director, so we can.
yes, so excellence though is the standard. And so we can
Right.
bring our best selves to the table. And the competition for my kids is to only be a better version of themselves each and
Right.
every day.
Right.
And
Right.
so that's what I try to walk, for my
Right.
students. And so that's why I'm thankful for this opportunity, because, they're here in Winsboro, South Carolina. I grew up in a small town of Eastover, South Carolina. And so I'm able to tell them, not because I see what their experience is, because I lived it. I
Right.
know what
Right.
it's like to be from a
Right.
small
Right.
town where people place limits
Wow.
on you and only say what you can achieve, and think about your school because it's predominantly African American, of what you're capable of achieving. I'm standing on a national stage as your principal, and I came from the same background. So
Right.
when hard work meets preparation and you
Right.
take advantage of all opportunities, there's no limit on what you can achieve. And so I live that for my kids. As I tell my staff, faith, whoever you believe in,
Right.
family, and then Fairfield in that order, and things will go right for you. And so, we just have to work and pour into the lives of our kids each and every
Right,
day and
right.
encourage them and support them, because it is hard, but we have to teach kids how to handle hard better. And
That's
what
right,
better way to do that than in the supports of your schools each and every
right.
day?
And by making sure the students are fully equipped. Now, the second thing I want to hang my hat on, because I talk about villages and I talk about transforming schools into villages of hope. Because you know what? I always ask people, have you seen the village lately? And they're like, what? I said, have you seen the village lately? The village is insane. There's more hate than love, more poverty than wealth, more people giving up and giving in than those who keep trying. The village is insane. But we have to change what is not going right to make it right. And we do that by making sure that hope is a part of our strategic plan, if you will, and our school improvement plan. Several months ago, I think it was back in November, I was a guest on Principal Kafele's podcast, or not his podcast, but his class, the Assistant Principals Academy. And I talked about transforming schools into villages of hope. And our topic that day was it can be done, or it's possible. Principal Kafele said it's possible. And then I added, if hope is your anchor. And anchor, we know that hope is our anchor when we transform our schools into villages of hope. You're exactly right. We have to bring back the village. And I want you to know, Mama J, I always have to have a village. I'm making the village. I'm creating the village. I need you to come help do this. I need you to come help do this. I need myself to be in this place. That's what it takes. That's what it takes to make sure the students are better than they've ever been. Because like I said before, they need us more right now. Right now. And when people stop and think about that for a moment, it's chilling. Because if our children and even our adults focus on just what's on TV, it will put you in a pit of despair.
Absolutely.
And we will be villages of despair rather than villages of hope.
Oh, yeah.
But we got to rise up out of that. So thank you for giving us that mantra of dream big. And say it to me one more time. Dream big.
Dream big, no excuses, no limit mindset.
No, there it is right there. Dream big, no excuses and no limits mindset. That's what it takes right there.
And it's ironic that you bring up hope, because my middle name is Hope, so that might be even more why I'm walking in my purpose of what I'm supposed to do. Because I encourage all educators. Look, we've been here before.
Yeah,
keep your eye on the prize. The main thing is the main thing. Keep the students at the center of what you do each and every day. Let the things of the world handle the things of the world, but focus on the babies. Make each and every day a great day for students. You can control that. So control the things that you can control. We make it happen for our kids every single day. So let's continue to do that. We're going to make it happen regardless of what happens federally, locally, whatever. We show up and make it happen for kids. And so that's what we do. Do what we've done for students. When you show up for kids, you get it done regardless. And so that's what we're going to do.
And let the grown folks deal with the grown folk stuff.
Absolutely.
Okay. That's what grandma would say to me right now. Let the grown folks handle the grown folks business.
Absolutely.
And let's focus on the children. Our children, right? They're not just the future. I love that song, but they're right now.
Absolutely.
And we have to help them right now.
Right now. Absolutely.
All right. So let's go to our third question. What are you willing to disrupt, interrupt, or dismantle to ensure that all students have access and opportunities to thrive?
So I'm going to show up and disrupt every time you put any limits or barriers on anything that my children can do.
Yes.
I'm going to knock that totally out the way. And I would say, regardless of background, zip code, or circumstance, that does not determine your potential. That does not determine your outcomes. And so education is the equalizer. And so when we're teaching our students, how do you overcome different situations? Let's make certain they get a good quality education, because education can be their equalizer to change the current realities that they are dealing with each and every day. I want my kids to be able to walk through the door and leave the bags that they have outside of here. you know, and if they have to pick them up, I want to be able to help them carry them when they leave out of here. And so at the end of the day, you know, making certain that we defy and we disrupt any limits that are placed on them based on their zip code, background, circumstance, whatever those things may be. Because, you know, that is our responsibility, because your brain is not determined, your ability, your levels, what you can achieve is not determined by where you come from, you know? And so kids can learn. All kids can learn. All kids can learn at high levels. It is what supports do we put in place to ensure that they do. So that's what I'm going to show up and disrupt anybody with mindsets of students cannot or what they can't do each and every day. That's what I'm going to disrupt each and every day.
And my prayer is that when you are, as you are out there in your travels, that, and I just believe in my heart that you're taking that message, because there's so many people that still believe that children can't do this and they can't do that. You know, I came from that, because that 64093, people really wanted to limit me, but baby, that wasn't going to happen.
Absolutely.
Because there was another plan. There was a higher plan, and they don't need to know all about that kind of plan, and I don't have to explain it as long as I understood it. I was not going to become what they said I couldn't do. They told me I couldn't overcome my stuttering, but am I not in here leading this podcast right now?
You are.
So don't tell me what can't be done. So when a child shows up and maybe they don't have all the skills, maybe they don't know how to read like I didn't know how to read, and maybe they don't know all the right words, when that educator is there to encourage them, to spend the extra time that it takes, because sometimes it takes some extra time, and that lifting and that encouragement and that pushing. And sometimes, you know, I love this. Sometimes a door has to be closed, so we make sure the students realize, wait a minute, I can still go to another door, because sometimes, you know, things happen in our lives that you know, we have to push our children to a higher level, and that happens. And when that happens, that's a disruption.
Absolutely.
Because first of all, it messes with their mind, it messes with our mind, but that disruption is saying, I'm closing this door because I want you to go in a different direction. That closed door is really a redirection and directing you into that right path. So I love the fact that you're going to show up anytime there's any type of barriers or limitations. And I hope people hear that as you go about in your travels. So I have a question. Go ahead.
Okay. Because one of the things I heard last week that, you know, really resonated with me is, you know, what work do I get to do this work, not I got to do this work.
Right.
And so really framing our mindset of what we get to do to impact the lives of students based on what we got to do. We don't have to do this work. We get to do this work. And so when you think of stuff that I get to do, speak over your day, how you even bring yourself to the table to be able to serve the kids. Speak over your day. I get to go and impact the future. I get to go and impact the now. I get to go and make sure we break barriers. One of the questions that I've been asked on the travels that I love this question, and I was so glad the reporter asked me, she was like, well, what would you want reporters to know about high-performing, high-poverty schools? And I said very clearly, stop acting as if you're surprised. Stop acting as if you're surprised. Because a kid is from a high-poverty situation doesn't mean they cannot learn. Now, they may need different resources, they may need different opportunities, they may need different supports, but they can learn. So do you believe that all kids can learn? And so stop acting like when you find a high-poverty, high-performing school, that it's shocking. It's shocking to you when people come in my school and it's like, oh my God, it's so quiet in here. Or the kids are all in, and I'm like, what do you think was happening? Like, this is a place of higher learning. We're learning in here. And so, you know, I need the expectations not to be low. Nobody rises to low expectations. And so we're gonna disrupt any time that is an expectation or any limits placed on my babies. We're gonna show up and disrupt that.
I love it. I love it. Okay, I'm gonna throw this curveball at you right now. If you had to give the listeners, our audience, a call to action, what is your call to action to the audience of the fierce urgency of now in today's schools?
Bring back the village.
Bring back the village.
All kids are our responsibility.
Right.
We don't need to worry about simply the kids in our class. We need to worry about the kids in our schools. We need to worry about the kids in our communities. We need to worry about the kids in the mall. Sometimes my daughter hate to go to the mall with me because I can hear a group of kids that's using profanity or doing something they shouldn't be, and I'm going to say something to them because guess
Right.
what? That's what the village would do. That was they
Right.
would do.
Right.
They would show up, and we
Right.
walking around in fear of students. And most kids, all kids want discipline. They're not going to ask you for it, but
Right.
a majority of the time, I will say to you, I approach the student respectfully. They respond very respectfully. They say, yes,
Come on
ma'am,
now.
I'm sorry. You have taken a moment and an opportunity to plant a seed. You
Right.
don't never
Right.
know where that seed and where that plant is going to blossom, but you took an opportunity to be a part of that child's village, to correct them respectfully, because our
Right.
kids are big on respect at this point.
Come on. Come on. Come on.
Of saying, hey, young man, hey, young lady, can you watch your mouth? You
Right.
got a lot of elderly, you got, young babies in here. Can we watch our mouth? Oh, yes, ma'am, I'm sorry. That's majority of the time. But we
Exactly.
have to be willing and stop listening to all of the media saying our kids are horrible and our kids do.
Right.
The
Right.
majority of the kids walk in schools, walk in communities,
Yes.
walk
Yes.
in
Yes.
malls, walk in churches, each and every day doing exactly what they should be doing. Yet we lump them and stereotype them based on what we may see on the news in and out of the day. They're going to highlight that stuff because it's sensationalized. They're not going to show you the good kids because that's not good news.
Right.
So at
Right.
the end of the day, we have to highlight and share the great things that
Yes.
are happening in our school, the great things that are happening with our kids. So if I could do anything to call to action, let's bring back the village. We got to
Yeah.
wrap our arms around our kids and empower the next generation because we see the potential in them that they yet can't see in themselves. And so it's our responsibility to bring it out of them.
I love it. I love it. I love it. You said bring back the village. You know what? And you said so many things, and I love this. Just listening to you, we have so many things in common because I think about the children that I would hear, the young people that I would hear. I'm gonna use the word Walmart, okay? And I would hear workers out there, and they're using profanity, and I'm like, "Come here for a second, babe. Can I talk to you for a second?" I said, "By the way, my name's Mama J."
Right.
And I said, I just heard you talk. I know you were talking to your friends. And if that's how you talk to your friends when you outside of work, that's your business. But right now you have on that blue smock or that blue vest, whatever it is, and you're representing the company right now. So I need you to act just a little bit differently, okay? And you're exactly right. When you come to young people that way, they will say thank you.
Yep.
I remember just this past beginning of the year when we Kansas City Chiefs, we're going to the Super Bowl and all this stuff, and I was in Walmart, and these students, they were students because they were high school students, they were in the checkout line and they were using all kind of profanity and different kind of slangs, and I said, hold up, wait a minute. And they're like, what? I said, we're not gonna do this. We are out. First of all, we out here in public.
Right.
And you think it's okay because you're saying it in front of me because I'm an African American. It's not okay with me.
Right.
I said, first of all, that's disrespect.
Mm-hmm.
Second of all, you talking so loud that the other people in the other aisles can hear you.
Mm-hmm.
So those people are forming opinions of you. They don't even know you. I don't even know you either. But one thing I know for sure, we're gonna shut it down right now.
Absolutely.
I said, because you got to do better. You got to be better. You got to walk a little bit taller. You got to think more of yourself. I go into Walmart now. They're like, Mama J's here.
Absolutely.
Mama J's, Mama J, come in my line. It's like they want to hear what's being said. And I
Kids
check.
want
Yeah,
discipline. They want
come on.
instruction. They want it. They're not going to ask you for it, but
Right,
they want it.
right,
And so, like I tell my kids, if I don't correct you, I don't love you. I don't care
right,
about you. And so
right.
I'm going to take the opportunity to teach you. So, like I said, my daughter
Yes,
cringes every time we're in the mall, but she's used to it now. Because she knows I'm going to say something.
right,
And I would say the overwhelming majority, matter of fact, I would say 9.8 out of 10
right.
kids are going to respond positively because that's what they want and that's what they need. Someone who will just pour into their lives, encourage them, speak positively, and teach them the right thing to do. Kids
Right.
want to learn.
And
And so we have
they
to
want
take
to
the time
learn.
to
Yeah, they want to learn, and they also want to fit in. They want to belong, even though I'm tough. I don't want. They want to fit in, and they want to belong.
Absolutely. Sense
Yeah.
of belonging is huge.
Woo,
It
come on
is
now.
huge.
It is absolutely paramount in all that we do today. I think about this young man. I went to a gas station and I said, I'm just going to go inside and pay for it and grab something to drink real quick. And this young man came out and he was kind of out in front. And I said, oh, do you? I said, hello. I said, I saw you inside. Do you work here? He said, yeah, I'm taking my break. I'm just starting. And he had on, everybody else had on a Navy, polo, but they didn't have his shirt and things ready. But so he just wore just a white t-shirt. And I thought, you know what? That just wasn't going to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I told my husband, I said, there's a J.C. Penney about 5 minutes from here. So we drove to J.C. Penney. I guessed his size, and I had to bring him back that because I wanted him to fit in.
Absolutely.
And he looked at me like, why would you do
Do
this?
that for me. Mm-hmm.
And I said, why wouldn't I do this?
The
First of
village.
all, you have taken every step to go through an interview process, and you presented yourself in a way that they hired you. I want you to show up every day looking your absolute best. And he goes, who are you? And I said, I'm Mama J. And I
Mm-hmm.
got in my car and I drove away. But that's what it takes. That's what it takes for the village to put our arms around them. I know you talked about earlier, it doesn't make a difference you have any children. I don't have any kids. Woo, but I have a million different students
Absolutely.
that I love, that I put my arms around, and they call me Mama J.
Absolutely.
Now, let me say this. I so enjoyed this conversation, and I'm telling you, we could go on forever because we are church girls. We are church girls.
Absolutely.
With your father being a pastor, my daddy being my late father being a deacon, the Sunday school superintendent, my mama, honey, being in the choir, girl, she would tear the church down. She would say, "Oh, girl, the people are already shouting. You hear me?"
Right. Yes. Yes.
And then she would go in there in the kitchen. Because she was over the kitchen. She would be in
Oh,
there.
that's a
We'd be like,
ministry in itself.
"Oh, it is meant. Oh, girl, honey, she would let us know." She said, "I'm a gift from God." That's what she would
Absolutely.
say. But she said, "My name is Dorothy, and I'm a gift from God." But I said all that to say, I want to take a couple minutes, and I want you to talk about what you've been doing this school year because it is so absolutely phenomenal. I want people to hear the places that you're going, where you're leaving to tomorrow morning. Talk to us just for a few minutes.
Well, since October of 2024, things have been a whirlwind since the announcement, and I'm elated, and I'm honored, and I'm humbled. I have traveled to Florida. I have keynoted for 600 principals. I
Wow.
have empowered women in leadership.
Yes.
On multiple different cages here locally, as well as beach areas and Georgia, work in Georgia. I leave tomorrow for Dallas, and then I'll travel to San Diego. And so I'll be a part of an AI conference partnered with the 2024 National Assistant Principal of the Year,
Okay.
sharing how we're working through PIT with AI and professional learning communities. So just excited. I have opportunities to speak and work with schools in Georgia, other women in leadership, still doing some things in South Carolina. I'll be able to work with Blue Ribbon Schools in Florida
Yes.
of next year. Already booked to keynote again in January of next year with principals. So just excited about the opportunity. And one of the things I will say, I received some feedback from some of the women in leadership, and the conversations that they had, emails I received of them just saying thank you. I needed to
Yes.
hear that. I needed that encouragement. I needed to know to balance my crown. I needed to know that I'm
Yes.
enough. I needed to know that I can apply for this next job. I needed to know that I'm equipped with everything I need to be successful. So to get those emails and those motivational messages, inspires me as well. So
Yes.
sometimes, my cup needs to be refilled, and those
Yes.
do it for me, because I'm able to use my lived experiences of thinking I
Right.
wasn't enough, of thinking, that mom guilt of not being able to be everything I needed to be in my career, as well as everything I needed to be as a mother.
Right.
Taking the time to share the stories of you are enough, you are
Come
capable,
on. Come
you
on.
can do, and you don't have to sacrifice.
Woo.
I get to show my kids that I can be. Your mom is on the national stage. They know what it
Right.
looks like for a woman to work. I can show my son, when you
Yes.
marry a woman who is a career-oriented woman, you can support her and you can make certain the kids are good. That is okay.
Right.
And you can show up for her. I can tell my daughter, you can walk in any room and bring
Yeah.
your own feet to the table.
Come on.
And so at the end of the day, I am more fulfilled as a mother because I'm able to walk in my passion and my purpose. And then I'm
Yes.
able to empower my own children. And so I'm excited about all of the opportunities that have been affording. It's a lot, but I want to also make certain that I take the time to continue to pour into the lives of the children each and every day. When I get the emails from my students, where are you? Are you okay? We
Yeah.
miss those things also motivate me to continue this work. And I'm just thankful. I'm just thankful to God for the opportunities. I
Yes.
pray that He continues to use the gift that He's equipped me with to
Yes.
work for His glory, and so that kids will continue to get the best quality educators possible, because we've collaborated together. Because I will say this too, educators, leaders need villages as well. And
Come
so
on
the
now.
village is
Come
not
on.
just for the children.
Yes.
Adults, we
Yes.
need villages too. And so making certain that I'm able to do this work because of the village that surrounds me,
Yes.
my family, my friends, people that I don't even know that's praying for me, people like Mama J who reach out to me,
That's
and
right.
make
That's
certain
right.
we connect and empower each other. That is the village, and that's what I'm so excited about.
Right, right. And I'm sitting there listening to you, and I'm gonna encourage you because, like I said, you're pouring into students, you're pouring into your own children, you're pouring into educators, to female and women leaders. But I'm gonna take a moment to pour into you. So it is my prayer that first of all that you have covering. That is my prayer for you today. And everywhere you go, my prayer for you is that you are blessed. My prayer that as you refresh others, that you yourself are refreshed in the work that you do. My prayer is that as you go to all these different places, as God has given man to lift you in the air and to fly you to all these places, that the same God that watches you on the ground is the same one that holds you in the air. So I'm pouring into you today. So wherever you go, I ask for traveling mercy and grace. And I'm going to say it like this: He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge, my God. In Him will I trust. That's what I want you to know. And that's what I want to pour into you today, because it's hard out here as it is. But as an African American female, you have to watch as well as pray. People are like, oh, well, she's the National Association of Secondary School Principal of the Year. That is right. But they don't know the load that you carry, and you can't carry it by yourself. So I ask God to raise that off of your shoulders, but so that you can go ahead and deliver the message of hope that you have. That is my prayer for you today. Now I know we didn't come to have church today, but you know what we are.
But yes,
Come on now, we are church girls. Now I want to say this in
absolutely.
closing. I want to say this in closing today. My heart is full. My spirit is full as we close out this very special time. I reached out to you because I saw something in you. I heard just little clips, and then I saw some different quotes, and I said, I'm gonna reach out to her because cause one thing about Mama J, honey, I'm older and I ain't scared of nothing. I'm gonna reach out to you because all you can do is say no. But as soon as I reached out to you, like, yes. And in fact, you went, yeah.
Yes,
I love
absolutely.
it. I love it. I love it. Let me say this in closing about the fierce urgency of now in today's schools. Those words, the fierce urgency of now, came from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. in his I Have a Dream speech. And he talked about racism and segregation and that urgency to do something different. That same urgency that Dr. King spoke about then is that same urgency that we have to have today in today's schools. We have to have an urgency to do something different. We have to be willing to say, I will disrupt that. I will interrupt what's going on and I will dismantle it. Not the dismantling that we're hearing in today's society on the news. I'm talking about tearing down barriers to changing student outcomes. So I want to say this in closing. It doesn't make a difference what it looks like out here. I don't care who closes what. I don't care what happens. We're going to keep our eyes on children. And when we come together and decide that as a village, we're going to keep marching forward, we can do the work. So when it gets dark, you just say, I'm going to let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
Better. Yes.
Yeah, come on. Queen, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for the opportunity, Queen.